This is the Dean Show.
Peace be with you. Welcome to the Dean Show. Come on, take a second before we start the show and subscribe right now if you haven't. My next guest spent 10 years pursuing the Hollywood dream. He was striving to be like Denzel Washington. Consumed, that's all he was consumed with, was being a star. Till finally getting a break, getting a role, and then putting a break to it all. We want to know why. We're going to get the ins and outs of the Hollywood lifestyle for those who maybe got their bags packed and they're ready to go. Hold up. Watch this week's show and then make your decision at the end. We'll be right back with this exciting episode here in the Dean Show. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Dean Show. This is the Dean Show. This is the Dean Show. This is the Dean Show.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Noah,
Yes, sir.
named after one of the greatest messengers that ever walked the earth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why,
Yes, sir.
why'd you come up with this name? Your parents came up with it, obviously.
Yeah. My dad, he wasn't born Muslim, and so his mom named him Nora because she was from Mississippi and she had a thick accent, but she was trying to say Noah, and so he changed his name to Noah, and he started practicing Islam, and it just worked out like that. So
10 years you were in the on the Hollywood scene?
exactly in the Hollywood, pursuing the dream of acting. I started out in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was in community college and I took an intro to theater class, and it was everything that had to do with theater, from lighting to blocking and stuff. And so they used to have us, two people stand on the set, and they would have them do a little scene so other people can like practice lighting and stuff like that. And when we would improv the different scenes, I guess I caught the acting bug, is what they call it, you know. And from there, I went to Howard University and I studied film. And then I came to Hollywood and I started the grind of trying to be an actor, you know, going from one agency to the next with my headshot, passing it out, you know, trying to get an agent, you know. And I ended up booking an agent. And they started sending me out to commercial auditions, all kind of auditions. And that's when I booked a role on The Shield. And I booked a Domino's commercial, a couple other commercials, and a pilot with a comedian, famous comedian, Andy Dick. He was from MTV. So,
Who are some of your favorite actors that you were aspiring to be like?
Denzel Washington, definitely. I used to watch a lot of his movies. Chris Tucker, you know, with his comedy and how much of a live wire he was. And I would look at them and study tapes. And when I was in acting classes and things of that nature, I would do scenes out of their movies and stuff like that. So I definitely, those two right there were definitely my the ones who I aspired to be like.
Tell us some of the on the ground action that happens down in Hollywood, because people see the big Hollywood sign, right? And people like, they save up money.
Yeah.
Maybe they leave school, leave their family, run away.
Yeah,
Kids
yeah.
run away to get to Hollywood. They land, touchdown. They're like, we made it. This is our paradise now.
Exactly.
What really goes on behind the scenes?
Man, you know what? The thing about it is so very few people reach that upper level where they're actually on TV and working on a regular basis. Many of the people who are in Hollywood are just aspiring. You know, it's thousands and thousands of people who are aspiring to be famous and things of that nature. And that right there is ugly because just of the competition. It's no rules. You know, I mean, you would show up to auditions and see somebody who you were good friends with, and they don't even speak to you. You know, you would have agents who have hundreds representing hundreds and hundreds of actors, and they're just taking on clients in order to maybe one of them will make it big. You know, not necessarily I'm invested in each one of these people's careers. I'm just looking for one of them to make it big so I can make some money. Or how you're on set, whether you're doing extra work or anything like that, the fitna that goes on with the sisters who may think that you know, getting to know you a little better will boost their career. You know, so it's a lot of things distracting you from the actual movie making, which you do so little of. You know, the actual time on set and making movies is very small in the Hollywood industry. You spend most of the time trying to make it big, taking acting classes which drain your pocket, taking headshots which drain your pocket, and all of these things. You look at all of these avenues, and it's hard to decipher the real from the fake. You know, you go to parties and you meet people and you question your own self. Like, do I just want to get to know this person so I can succeed more? Or is this person getting to know me so they can succeed more? You know, so like they say, Hollywood is an illusion. It's definitely an illusion because you don't know exactly what's real and what's not real.
I can imagine for, you know, our sisters out there, you know, just women in general and humanity, the kind of traps they can fall in. People taking advantage of them because they want to like achieve this position, this role. So certain agents or even producers just taking women really, you know.
There's a new documentary that is all about the dark side of Hollywood and how some power players allegedly use their positions to prey on young aspiring actors.
But Evan may not be the only one. The manager also allegedly abused the late Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. Feldman told us it didn't end there.
When I look back at a picture of when I was 15 years old and I was surrounded by 5 men, and every one of those men in that photograph is a pedophile, that's a pretty big problem.
The thing about it is
advantage of them.
Definitely, yeah. You would think that it's a lot of diabolical men just preying on these women.
Big time, I think.
But in general, you might go to set and it may be 2 or 3 women preying on you. You know, and it's in general, it's more women than men, just in general.
Yeah.
And so women, I'm not all of the women, but some of the women, they go with the intention that they're going to, you know, do things like that. So you, as a man, you are preyed on also.
You obviously, a lot of people end up selling their soul down in Hollywood.
Yeah,
Even men, probably men, trying to get other men to do certain things.
This is everyday business, and he made me feel like I have to do that in order to get any job.
Yeah. I haven't experienced any of that stuff personally, but I've heard stories about that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all for people who just want to be famous.
Yeah.
Who want to do something with themselves, and who are confused as to exactly what success is. You know.
Yeah, you realize at that time you weren't really practicing.
Not like I should. Definitely, yeah.
And we find this. I mean, we want to kind of give people the inside look.
What's going on? Why is Dave Chappelle going to Africa? Why does Mariah Carey make a $100 million deal and take clothes off on TRL? A weak person cannot get to sit here and talk to you. Ain't no weak people talking to you. So what is happening in Hollywood? Nobody knows.
Before maybe somebody, you know, they forget about their purpose in life, their true purpose. They make this their purpose. You said only a very small percentage that actually even make it. And even when you do make it at the end, it's a whole other world of drama.
Exactly. Whole nother world of drama. You know, the Screen Actors Guild, which is the guild that if you want to work in the industry, you have to join. It's only about 2% of those people who are a part of that guild that actually work. So 98% of the people are out of work actors, you know, just struggling to make it somewhere, you know. And like you say, the person with purpose can definitely lose their purpose pursuing something like that. You know, it's almost like somebody who is who's trained not to eat in the right way. Mm-hmm. If a person is not trained to eat in the right way, then whenever they're hungry, they'll just grab anything. Mm-hmm. They'll just try to eat anything, whether it be fattening or anything like that. Yeah. It's the same thing about people who want success. They're just trying to get it in the wrong way.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what real success is.
Definitely.
We're going to get more of your journey, how you actually found out, how you actually started really engrossing yourself to living the full purpose of life, to reach your full potential, mm-hmm. and how you're doing something really beneficial now.
Alhamdulillah.
Here on The Dean Show, we'll be right back with Noah. Don't go anywhere.
Please subscribe to The Dean Show. Follow us on our official Facebook and Twitter pages in the links below. Please also help support The Dean Show by making a donation in the link below.
Back here on The Dean Show with special guest Noah, was in Hollywood.
Yes, sir.
On the Strip, Hollywood Boulevard. You were trying to get one of those stars.
Definitely.
Huh?
Yeah. You know the crazy thing about that is when you walk down the Strip of Hollywood and you see those stars on the ground, for me, it probably was about 70 to 80% of those people, I didn't even know who they were. You know, these are people who reached the top of not only, you know, when you're the top of Hollywood, you're the top of the whole world, you know, and you have these people who are just will do anything to get to that point. And you just go a couple of years outside of the realm and people don't even know who you are, you mm-hmm. know? And it's a lot of controversy going on right now with the you know, getting Oscars and things of that nature. And for me, it goes down to people putting hope in the wrong things, you know, because the thing about pursuing success, it was put in us by Allah, you know, to pursue success. And the pursuit of success is so fiery and it's so hot within the soul, you know, and if you're pursuing it in the wrong way, you will pursue that just like you should be pursuing it for Allah, but you're pursuing it for something else, you know, because when I was in Hollywood and I really was gunning and trying to be the top A-list actor, I used to think about it all the time. Every day when I woke up in the morning, I would think about, man, how am I going to do it? I need to go to this acting class. I need to do this. I need to do that. Whenever I ate, I'm like, okay, I need to stop eating, you know, so much because I need to save my money so I can take some headshots.
You'd go on some kind of a fast.
Definitely, yeah. Starving actors.
Starving
you see
actors,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just to pay their rent, just to take these acting classes, just to
so they got a bunch of rituals that you're actually going through. It becomes mm-hmm. Your whole life. It's like you're consumed. You're
totally
consumed
with it.
Yeah,
totally consumed with it. You know,
and it's interesting. People are reaching for the stars, but now they're actually on the lowest part under people's feet.
Exactly.
When you go look at these stars that are on the Strip,
people are walking on them. You know what I'm saying? That's why Muhammad Ali told him to put my star on the wall because you know
he's the intelligent.
Exactly. Yeah. So because you can't walk on the name Muhammad.
That's amazing. Think about that.
Yeah. So his star is actually on the wall. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
He said, "Don't put my star on the floor."
Exactly.
Like everyone just give me a star, even if they walk on it.
Exactly. No. He was like, if you're gonna give me one, it can't be walked on.
Now tell us more. I mean, obviously, before we get to real purpose, what you're living now, mm-hmm. you got to see probably a lot of things. A lot of people selling themselves, their souls. People who actually make it. Many people think, okay, I made it to be a star. That's mm-hmm. happiness. That's purpose in life. How far away can this be from the truth?
It's as far as you can imagine. You know, because people who are pursuing that are actually pursuing something that's legit. You know, because the pursuit of success is, like I said, within us all. So the pursuit of something that validates you, that makes it seem like you accomplished something, is natural. But we need to do that in the way of Allah. Because if we don't, once we reach it, you know, it's not going to do what we thought it would do. You know, Rosie O'Donnell, she had a powerful quote. And she said that fame let her down, because she felt like when she reached fame that it would solve all of her problems, but it didn't, you know? And so I think that people who are pursuing that, they're running themselves ragged to that point, you know? And it says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Kahf, verse 103 and 104, Allah says, He says, I'll tell you who are the greatest of losers. And He says, those are the ones whose pursuits are all within the worldly life. And they don't think about the higher purpose, which is Allah, you know? And that hit me because I was like, man, people go through a lot to reach success. Like you say, not eating, you know, waking up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning to shoot basketballs if you're trying to be in the NBA. But in Hollywood, sacrificing yourself, you know, going to these acting classes and things of that nature. To think that at the end of your life, you can have 5 or 6 Oscars. Everybody in this world could know your name. Everybody could be wearing your clothing line or something like that. And at the end of the day, everything to be lost.
Yeah.
Like that means nothing.
At the check station, before you cross over into the next life, you need a visa. That visa is stamped by the Creator. That's belief in Him, doing those righteous good deeds. But those Oscars.
Listen, if you do win tonight, remember that no one cares about that award as much as you do. Okay? I've got 3. I've got 3 Golden Globes myself, so I can say one's a doorstop, one I used to hit burglars with, and one I keep by the bed.
That stuff won't get you in.
Nah, that stuff it doesn't mean anything.
No. Tell us, how do you feel, and how would you advise people who, even many Muslims, they fall in this trap and they're pursuing that dream? Maybe they're out there making some YouTube videos, doing some of the most ridiculous, silly things, a lot of things that compromise their deen, and they end up maybe being YouTube sensations, and they want to be stars, reaching for the stars, but again, you see the most ridiculous things that are being done in the name of this stardom.
Exactly. And I ran a YouTube page for a while, you know, and I had that similar mentality, you know, because you don't want everything to fall into just views and hits and things of this nature, you know, because that validates you also. Man, if I got 1 million views, that means everybody likes me, you know. You have to focus on who are you doing it for. If you're doing it for people to approve what you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Do everything strictly for the purpose of gaining the pleasure of Allah. If you have that in your scope, you always going to be on the right direction, you know? So people who put it out there, you know, do pranks and things of that nature in order just to build themselves up here, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but you'll find those people who don't consider the next life at all. And, you know, for a Muslim, for us not to look at the afterlife, that's one of the worst things that you can do. You know, that's one of the easiest ways to lose yourself.
We're going to take a break. I'll be right back with more. We want to know what finally did it for you, that you know, started living purpose, and some of the work that you're doing now here on The Dean Show with Noah. Don't go anywhere.
Please subscribe to The Dean Show. Follow us on our official Facebook and Twitter pages in the links below. Please also help support The Dean Show by making a donation in the link below.
Back here on The Dean Show with Noah. All right, so you got a role. You got a few roles.
Yeah.
You were in The Shield. That's a big, that's a series actually, right? It's pretty
it was
well
on Fox.
known on Fox.
Definitely, yeah.
You got a role in there. You did some other commercials. You're starting slowly, you know, to climb the ladder.
Yeah.
What happens? You end up climbing another ladder now.
Exactly. Well, I just, you know, from there, I reached a lot of success there, and or just a little bit, just a little taste. That's all you really need. And started doing YouTube for a while, you know, and built up a following on YouTube, you know, got millions of views on my videos. And then I started to take a Life of the Prophet class. That was one of the first things that triggered it for me, that I was going in the wrong direction, you know. And from the Life of the Prophet class, I took a Purification of the Heart class. And that class right there, it basically, it pinpoints all of the diseases of the heart, you know. And just like a basketball player or a football player, depending on what sport you play, depending on what type of injury you're prone to. So depending on what we do in life is depending on what we do in life is what you're more likely to get a disease of the heart in. So since taking that class, I looked at myself and said, I may have the disease of the heart for the want for fame, you know. And if you want for fame and status on this world, then you kind of spoil your blessings, you know. And so that right there made me introspectively look at everything that I had ever done on screen, on camera, anything like that. And man, it hit me like a ton of bricks, you know. I said, man, if I can get 1 million hits on this video, or if I can do TV and 1 million people were looking at me, why couldn't I stand up and say, La ilaha illallah on camera? And if 1 million people look at me doing that, then it would be good for the people here, and it'd be good for my afterlife. I can't do anything on film from this point on that will not help me here and in the afterlife. And that made me change everything. That made me change my production company from Adventures of Noah Seif Productions to Sword of Allah Productions. Even in my production company, I said, even if you just read the name of my production company, I wanted to give dawah. Everything that I do on screen, I wanted to give dawah. Everything is for the grace and mercy of Allah, you know.
Now someone says, look, you know, with all the hype about Muslims, whatever, not yet Muslims out there, say, oh, here these Muslims, sword of Allah, you know. What would you say?
Well, the thing about it is, my last name is Seifullah. And you know, that means sword of Allah. So
your last name means that.
Exactly.
Oh, I see.
So
okay.
it's just my last name.
But now someone says even in his last name, exactly. These guys are violent.
Well, the thing about it is,
have you ever been
definitely, definitely, yeah. Well, the first thing about it, let's dissect what a sword is. A sword was made by Allah, and it was made so powerful that you can go to war with it. But it's so delicate that you can slice a piece, you can spread butter on a piece of bread with it. So the actual mechanism, which is a sword, is a beautiful creation within itself. There's nothing wrong with that. And not only that, if you put anything before Allah, that's a servant of Allah. So it don't matter if it's a sword, if it's a book, if it's anything, it's a servant. You know, so a sword of Allah is still a servant of Allah. Because whatever it's used for something that Allah has decreed, you know. So Sword of Allah Productions is servant of Allah Productions, slave of Allah Productions. It is, because anything you put in before Allah is serving Allah.
Now we noticed, I noticed that knowledge was a key component into the transformation.
Yep.
This was something that really, now that you took this class, you started to grow in knowledge. And the transformation, was it difficult? Was it something that you really had to struggle against your desires now to leave off, because now you're gaining some popularity? Some things that are probably not transferable and pleasable to the creator. You got to leave it off. How was that struggle?
The struggle was real, because the stuff that was left on me was so many remnants of the dunya, you know, and so many of your goals and aspirations are just attached to that, and you just have to just mentally just leave it alone. You know, you think to yourself, man, if I just had a fast car, if I just had a big house, if I just had you know, a beautiful model wife, you know, my life would be complete. And just the constant reminders from the dunya and TV and stuff. That's why you gotta change everything. You know, you can't, I'm switching my life around, but I still watch these shows. I'm switching my life around, but I don't, you know, read Quran or anything. No, you have to just totally abandon everything, you know, and fill your life with the things that are conducive to the way you want to live. If you do that, then the transition will be easier of getting out of the dunya, because you will still have things on you from the dunya, and those things still remind you of that. So I think just as long as you're committed to the total transformation, it'll be easier, but it's definitely not an easy process.
You started making videos on the importance of fajr, was
Exactly.
it? About backbiting, about fasting. We got like 1 minute left. Tell us about what went into the thought process that went into these.
Just giving dawah, just doing videos that may help Muslims, help anybody, you know. So praying Fajr, the Battle of Fajr. Man, maybe I can make a movie that'll help people get up in the morning. You know, the dangers of backbiting, a sin that could, you know, eat away from our deeds on the day of judgment. You know, things that can actually people can watch and kind of wake up. You know, and the feature film that I have that I'm in production with, The Search for Sakina, the same thing. You know, everybody's on the search for Sakina. Sakina means peace and tranquility. Yeah. You know, so just putting it out there, you know, in every way, shape, or form. Worship Allah, remember Allah. You know, this is what we're supposed to do in life.
Last few seconds that we have, someone out there got to tune in, and they're also aspiring. They got their bags packed. They're about to leave the Hollywood. You know, what advice would you give them?
Don't forget about Allah. Don't forget about Allah. If you go into Hollywood and you're pursuing a career in Hollywood, do not forget about Allah. Because if you forget about Allah, it don't matter how much money you make. You can have 8, 13 Oscars. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you forget about Allah. But if you remember Allah in everything you do, that's going to change. That's going to change everything you do, the decisions you make, everything. So never forget about Allah.
Never forget the one who created you, the creator of the heavens and the earth. Thank you so much for being with us, Noah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Allah bless you. Thank you for being with us.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right, that was Noah here on the Dean Show for those people who had their bags packed and they were right out the door almost. Hopefully you're unpacking right now. You have a change of heart, connecting that heart. You know, there's things that stop the human being from doing what's intrinsically embedded in all of us. It's part of human nature to believe in the Almighty Creator. They've done studies on this. This is something that's verified. You know, it's acquired to disbelieve in God. But the things that hinder us are those desires. So you might have a desire for fame, desire for fornication, for drugs, alcohol, desires. You got to put a check on that. If you're about to get a job that's going to pay you an exorbitant amount of money with so many benefits, but there's certain requirements that need to be fulfilled, are you going to forsake that job for your desires? Or no, you're going to be intelligent enough to leave off the things that aren't good for you and fulfill those requirements so you can get that position and get that payday, right? Huh? Makes sense. But everything that Allah, the creator of the heavens and earth, told us to stay away from are things that are not good for us, things that are harmful for us. And now is the time that we need to make a change. And you weren't created to win Emmys and Oscars and to be a Hollywood superstar. That's not the things that you should be consuming your mind with. And take it from, if not me, take it from, for instance, Jim Carrey. You know what he said? It's interesting. I think that everyone should get rich and famous and do everything that they ever dreamed of, so at the end they can see that that's not the answer. I'm telling you that right now. Take it from Jim. I mean, this is an A-star actor at the top of the class. That class rose to fame. But you see that does not fill the void in the heart, and many of these, if not the overwhelming majority of Hollywood actors are on antidepressants, they're on drugs, alcohol, very arrogant, very miserable people, living miserable, shallow lives. And you have a chance either to go in that direction, and at the end, maybe you might make it, but then you make it, like Jim Carrey said, you make it to the top and you realize, hey, what's up here? I'm even lonelier than when I was at the bottom. Or you can focus your efforts onto something that you were created for. To do something, not to chase this world, but to help change the world for the better. That's what the Creator had made you for. To worship Him alone and to play your role to the best of its ability. Doing the things that Allah, the Almighty, had told you to do. And we have that all laid out in this beautiful way of life. Get to know it. And when he did, you see, when Noah, he took that class and now had a different perspective about life. Knowledge, if you just bump in 50 cents all day and night, or whoever else, Kate Perry or whoever else is out there nowadays who's hitting the charts, who's got maybe like almost 1 billion hits on the YouTube, I mean, they're going to have a big following because Shaitan's taken a lot of people, but except for those few, those small few that are loyal and committed to pleasing their Creator, doing the good that He's told us to do. And that's how you recharge your heart. That's how you get that peace. That's how you get that happiness, that fulfillment, that contentment that money can't buy, and you ain't going to get it with, I don't care how many Grammys or Emmys you win. Make a change right now for the better. Leave off all those things just the same way you'd leave them off if it was for monetary gain, for benefits of this world. But the best is when you can have this world in your hand, but then you strive and struggle for the best in the hereafter by being good, doing good, living a righteous, wholesome life. We'll see you next time. Right now, stop if you haven't. Subscribe. Right now, do it. And we'll see you next time here in the Dean Show. Get it. Go. Good. We'll see you. Peace.
Please subscribe to The Dean Show. Follow us on our official Facebook and Twitter pages in the links below. Please also help support The Dean Show by making a donation in the link below.